Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Volpe Bazzo Report. We're taping here on 9/11. Dominic can't make it today. He is busy right now doing Mai Tais in Florida. I want to welcome you. We're going to do something shocking today. We're going to discuss politics. But first, I want you to know that you can find my column every week in the Yorktown News, page 10 usually. Used to be the lead column, but now that my editor, Bryan Fumagalli, who's one of our guests, keeps trying to put me below, like in the classified section. But anyway, my guest today, and for this political talk, is political consultant Darren, also Peaksville councilman.
Hello, Andy.
Hi, the editor of the Yorktown News, Bryan Fumagalli, and a guy that's never been on my shows, somebody I've never met, Dave Paganelli.
Reluctantly here on your show.
Yorktown councilman and candidate for the highway superintendent in Yorktown. Now, we are airing now the day after the local primaries, and I want to discuss something with you, even though Dominic's not here. Dominic lost his race for the Democrat nod for the Cortland Town Council, but he is on the independence line and the working families line. And Dominic lost this race because of a last-minute lies in what is known as a lit drop. Now, Dave, can you tell people what a lit drop is? Because you were the victim of one in Yorktown.
Oh, yeah, a lit drop
It looks like this.
Yeah, it's
right?
a piece of paper that's dropped at people's homes and makes remarks about a candidate's history or a candidate's personality or a candidate's whatever it could be.
But they're usually negative.
Oh, they're always negative. And they're done at the last minute. They rarely leave time for, a dignified response.
And this is what happened with Dominic. They did a lit drop saying that Dominic Volpe has called for Linda Puglisi's resignation. Now, what Dominic and his running mate Bryan Pugh did call for was was to talk about a referendum on term limits, because you had a primary this season, because for the first time in 20 years there was an opening on the Cortland Town Council. These guys never left, and that's not fair. There's so much young blood. You've got to get in there. They've got to move up. They got to move on. You can't let them live there all their life. But they did a lit drop saying Dominic Volpe is calling for Linda Puglisi, and there was no time to respond. And then also you had the other candidate that won, Seth Freach, who puts out a mailer saying that he is a member of the Cortland Master Plan Committee and working hard at the planning for the town's future. Yet, there is no Cortland Master Plan Committee. Doesn't exist. So what you had was two candidates that won on lies, and they're proud of this fact, that they won on lies, damnable lies. And they're saying, well, we won the Democrat primary. There's no way, it doesn't matter how we did it. We're going to validate our pathetic, miserable lives with a lie, and we're going to sit on the board and control your life, and there's nothing you can do about it. But yes, there is. Because Dominic is on two lines, the independence line and the working families line. So you have Republicans can go to the independence line, Democrats can go to the working families line and say we will not be made a fool of by the establishment party that based their victory on a lie and on this negative type of campaigning. And we all sometimes like to wallow in the mud, but there's negative campaigning and there's negative campaigning. Now, Dave also. Now, he kicked butt in the Yorktown primary, and Bryan will discuss this with Dave.
Oh boy.
But you two were the victim of a lit drop with no time to respond.
Right.
But because you were a defined character, because you were a person that people knew, they were more mad at the people that dropped the... Oh, by the way, on these lit drops, nobody signs their name to them, do they?
No, they're anonymous.
That's what I mean. They're like anonymous postings on blogs and all this. So... what happens is that they did this to you, and you were able to overcome that. But it is not a fair thing. It's not you when you were on the show last.
Well, do you think it helped you or hurt you, or no effect?
I think that I think that the lit drop concerning my finances, which I had addressed in the letter to the editor because I knew it would become an issue that
I addressed in a column
that I had. A business, and businesses are like marriages. When they end, they rarely end well. And that being said, I had the option. I could have declared bankruptcy. Instead, I chose to try and hold the course and, make good on what was due to the people that, had worked with me. Bankruptcy would have been an easier thing. It would have put it to rest. Donald Trump declared bankruptcy twice, and everybody thinks he's a hero. You know what? At the end of the day, that would have been an easier thing for me. But I kept my corporation intact. I, paid up all my corporate bills and as many as I could with respect to the government and unemployment insurance. I just paid a bill 2 months ago to unemployment insurance. The business has been closed for a year and 2 months. So I tried to stay the course and weigh my options. But you know what? Most of the things in the lit drop are not untrue. You know what? But to err, what bothers me is that when somebody does this, it shows poor character on their part.
Well,
that you, if you need to do this, to think you can't address me on the issues, you can't address me man to man and say, you know what, have I been behind on my taxes? Oh, absolutely. You know what, over 30% of houses in New York Town
33%
in
according to the
foreclosure.
official figures.
I can't even imagine how many people out there are suffering with these taxes and have been behind on their taxes.
Now, let me finish where I was saying here, because he was the victim of this. And not
I don't
only
want to
that,
be called a victim.
No,
Don't
no,
call me a
no, no,
victim.
no,
He
no,
didn't
no.
win.
He did win, no, but
Well, I don't think that helped me win.
Well,
no,
I don't know if it hurt you.
no, but
You
the
did
point
pretty
is,
well.
point being on this is that the people that did this, when it was done to them 2 years ago, got up on the, how dare you attack me personally? They got the issues, and you shouldn't do personal negative attacks. And in a way, they were right.
The
because
fact
it
is,
backfired on the people that did the personal attack. So the hypocrisy there. See, in a local election, and this is what, and then I'll turn this thing over to you. Character
5 minutes.
is one of the most important things in any candidate, which is why even though Darren and I are friends, we do. I mean, he just said that we're listening to the taping of a previous show. He didn't agree with a damn thing I said.
Not one.
But
like the lit drop, he didn't get a word in edgewise to be able to refute it, right?
No, he wasn't on the show. He just didn't agree. But I'm just saying. But we are friends because character. And Darren has an impeccable character. I mean, he's an honest man, and I believe you got to put honest people. Dave, I've always was in. This is why the lit drop couldn't work against him. His character. People know this. But the people.
What about me?
You're a newspaper guy, and we know how we think about newspaper people.
I agree with you on that.
No.
No, I think you have a strong moral compass.
I give Bryan a lot of credit because he's got to fight my battles at the main office. Because
Why, do you
I
ever
don't.
find yourself controversial?
Well, he tells me I am. I don't know how because I know I'm always right. So what's so controversial?
I
about
try to
that?
tell everybody that, they just don't get it.
They don't even know I'm a living legend. You told me.
I'll tell you,
true.
this is why I think it's so great that Dave won, because the worst part about these lit drops, these nefarious activities, is it drives good people out of politics.
That's
when I was a committee chairman here for the Democratic Party in Peekskill, you have trouble recruiting people to run for office because a lot of the best and brightest don't want to get involved and mired down in the mud and the muckraking. And
Well, I say
out.
who, if anyone, if you want to run everyone's financials, and put everybody's laundry out there on the table, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but the last show you
but
were
don't
on,
single me out.
But
But
no
the
one
la-
will run if that
but the
happens.
last show.
You'll get nobody to run.
But the
if that
last
happens.
show you
But
were
like
on,
they did
the
to
last
Dominic,
show
don't
you
make
were
stuff
on,
up.
Brian asked you a question,
well,
and you
that's
said,
all.
"I am not going to talk dish about the other candidates." I'm not.
And I
gonna-
didn't.
And you didn't, and through the whole thing.
And I
But-
didn't even when this was going
this
on.
was saying-
I could have. You don't think I had the manpower to combat a lit drop like this? Someone once told me the first time I ran for office, don't run for office unless within 6 hours you could mobilize 1,500 to 2,000 letters.
That was me.
Okay, and in that particular race, it happened. We had a piece going out that was a surefire election winner. Okay, somehow or another, a piece that was dropped at the post office 3 days in advance, the bin got lost with 2,000 letters in it.
Wow.
All right, just got lost, and turned up the letters arrived the day after the primary.
Yeah.
So we literally at 4:30 in the morning we ran letters off. We got our 40, 50 volunteers together, and we literally were driving around. Dogs were barking. We were afraid. We were putting letters on people's windshields of their cars.
Wait a second, Dave.
Literally, so that when they woke up in the morning, the first thing they would see is,
Dave,
you can't use the mailboxes. That's against the law.
Being that his name is on this program, that's when you solidified your friendship with Dominic Volpe.
Yep.
He brought his entire family, even though he was running for the county legislative seat at the time, and he was in a tight race. He brought his own entire family to help Dave do that.
The
lip
Italians,
drop.
they stick together.
Well, yes, but anyway, what I'm trying to tell you about
stick together,
character. What I'm trying to tell you about character is the character of somebody that could be, this kind of vicious stuff for political or locally. There's no vote veto. There's no patronage. There's not, so they're just doing this because for some reason, and I don't understand it, that if you're going to vote on character, and to me, voting on character, especially in the supervisor's race, matters a lot. Right now, where for a while, and Bryan will tell you, I've said Michael Gray should be supervisor, but I got to go with Nick Bianco. And I'm going to endorse Nick Bianco because throughout this entire primary, Nick never went back on his word to stuff he said he was going to do. He's been Nick Bianco. And good, bad, or indifferent, and for 16 years, but he is who he is, and he's nobody else. Good, and I said to him at your house last night, I says, we don't always agree, but we've maintained friends because it didn't interfere.
Well, this was a difficult situation for me because I'm running with Nick on the conservative line.
Don't take away his question. He's going to ask you that because I'm going to be throwing it over to you.
Okay, you want me to hold off?
Yes,
Okay.
but I promised.
Something to do.
But I promised I was going to do this. I told you I was not happy with what the people did for you, and I did a column with the North County News called "The Enemy of My Friend Becomes My Enemy," and I will fight for you through this campaign.
Thank you.
And Bryan knows I'm going to do this. It's no secret. I liked when I did the endorsement of you and the letter the editors show up. Oh, Andy's a friend of Dave's. When have I never admitted that in print? I mean, that wasn't a earth-breaking story. Oh, except that the people that said that didn't mind when they were running his campaign that I was friends with him. But when they're running somebody else's
A lot of unnamed people in this conversation.
Politics makes strange bedfellows.
Yes.
And you know what?
Well, speaking of that, it's a perfect transition because
right, now you guys, this show's up to you guys. Go have a good time.
Well, in your case, lit drop or no lit drop, you got the R line, and I think we assume you're going to keep the C line.
Did you get more votes than Diane on the Democrat line?
Yeah.
Then you got the highest vote getting again.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yes.
Stop being modest.
So going forward, Nick Bianco, conservative line. He's a supervisor candidate in Yorktown. Michael Grace, Republican supervisor candidate. So you're on the town board. You're all on the town board. What a circus! And
you think?
Yeah. So have you thought about who? I mean,
let me tell you something.
Are you going to campaign with both of them? How's that going to work?
Every other home I visited said to me, "What's going on? You know, what's going on with Nick and Michael?" And I said, "I'm not here to talk about Nick or Michael. I'm here to talk about me." Well, what should I do? I said, "You do whatever you want to do." I said, "I'm not here to talk about Nick or Michael. This was about me reaching out to people that they should have faith in me, regardless of what they hear or what they, base your faith in me on what you know about me. Base it on my 30-year history of doing the right thing for the people of Yorktown. I'm no newcomer. I didn't just pop my head into the right. I did the right thing for 25 years.
Did some people do that in the highway race? I'm not aware.
What's that?
Just pop their head up, newcomers?
Well, yes, we had people go. Lord only knows where they came from.
Wait a second. When I endorsed Gardner, what was the reason?
It was a rather crowded field, in case you didn't know it.
When I endorsed Gardner, what was the reason I said? Because he came to the meetings when they had the biggest discussion with the highway department. Should it be elected or should it be appointed? Were any other than you and Gardner? Who was there?
Nobody
for that
else.
issue?
Nobody else.
That ran for highway superintendent.
Well, other people came.
That ran for highway superintendent.
Yeah, there were other people that came.
Who was there besides Gardner and you and me?
Craig Bernard was at meetings. Tommy Diana was at meetings.
They were on the discussion for the elected or the appointed.
Oh, no. For the DPW. I'm sorry.
Right. And I said Gardner.
Oh, man, I just gave them time on my dime.
Oh,
Gee.
free.
No,
why? Can you be more specific?
That's why I mentioned Gardner, because he's not running against you. So we could give him a dime.
But politics does make sure bedfellows. So I mean, I'm sure you're going to in the coming weeks I don't know if Supervisor Grace is going to reach out to you or what, but you, I mean, are you going to be back at the Republican headquarters?
Here's my feeling. I'm a
With the-
Republican.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, I wear red. Okay.
Literally, yes.
And I didn't wear it specifically so I could make that remark because I didn't know we'd be leading into this.
That's why I'm wearing
This
blue.
is
Oh,
not.
here we go. And I'm
this
in the
is
middle
not
here.
as crafty.
I'm wearing yellow.
You're wearing yellow because you're really scared.
Darren won't even wear a red tie.
Oh, geez.
You know, at the end of the day, I'm a Republican. At the end of the day, in the nominating process, half the people minus one wanted me to be the nominee.
That was very close.
You know,
Very
so
close, yes.
you know, with respect to that, and out of respect to them, you know, it wouldn't be me if I didn't represent the party. All right. That being said, you know, that I represent the party. I hope that the party will, you know, work with me, and I will work with the party, and together.
Well, by your
we're
showing, it might
together,
behoove
we're
them to
together we're
reach out to you.
stronger than we are individually.
Yeah.
Now, one
As
of
that's
the,
been shown, you know, countless times.
Now, for
Nobody wins in a vacuum.
now before I want to just switch gears a second, get it to Darren.
You told them they could talk, and now you keep
No, I got to
interjecting.
get Darren in this one.
All right.
He's
So
a
you-
referee.
do
But
you
I-
do
but-
need to pull a string so he knows he can talk?
No, I gotta tell you guys. I gotta tell you guys.
Wave your hand if you want to speak.
We gotta give Darren.
It's a long show.
But I want.
You got to fill it up with
But
some
don't forget,
comedy.
Bryan, you had the burning question for Highway Department for Dave. You're going to ask.
A
him.
burning oh my God, that's quite a setup. It better be a zinger.
Oh, ask him.
I'm not asking him that
Oh,
question.
go ahead. Come on, the
No.
burning. Oh, you
What?
coward.
I'm
The
a coward.
abortion issue. I mean, how does that affect the Highway Department?
That's harsh.
I know.
When does life begin, Dave?
Yes, when
In
does
the middle of
life
a blizzard. When does life begin,
Yeah.
by the way?
Right, yes.
For me, it begins when they say
When the
a
snow comes
blizzard is
down.
coming.
Okay, now,
That's good. I
Darren.
like that.
Life begins when I get the weather report, and I got to take 90 men and make sure that they're,
Now, you-
prepared to clear the
In
roads.
Peekskill, the Democrat slate was vying for the independence
That'd be
line.
true.
You never
And
know what he's
also,
gonna say. Scary.
the County District 1 race,
Dwayne Jackson.
Dwayne Jackson was trying to hold on to the eye line against John Testa. As of this taping, where are we at right now?
We have no idea. We
have-
no. I mean,
We
no
don't
one
have a
knows.
clue.
No,
That's
no,
good.
no one knows. The independence.
See, that's an honest answer.
The Independence Party has always cross-endorsed, at least in Peekskill, and I believe most of Northern Westchester, always cross-endorsed with the Republican Party. So, as far as I know, for the last decade or so, we've never run with the independence line. The Democrats have never run with the independence line.
Yeah, it seems this
This
year they
year-
overwhelmingly endorsed
Yeah, this year there was like
Democrats,
a falling out between the Independence Party and the Republican Party, and the Independence Party just endorsed all the Democrats in Northern Westchester, from no
Pretty much.
Most of them,
just all of them.
Pretty much.
So the Republicans orchestrated a writing campaign for their candidates to win back the independence line. Where was it successful? No one knows yet. Astorino got thrown off. He's not allowed to participate because of the
Right, he
activities that the
lost
judge
his
found he
court
did.
case.
Yeah.
We discussed that.
Yeah. So, but the local Republican parties in all the different municipalities ran writing campaigns, and no one knows if they're successful or not because they're paper ballots. So they're kind of gathered up at the end of the night, and they're just shipped down to the Board of Elections. When they get around to counting them and looking at them, and then they're all going to be challenged because it's really hard to win a writing campaign, because if they spelt the person's name wrong, or if the person's name is Theodore but the person wrote Ted, that means it's
Well,
disqualified.
we sent
So-
out, interesting, we sent out a mail or two to the Independence Party voters, and we asked them to write in their name, and we said, you know, please be sure to write it in the box, because these party leaders don't want you to think outside the box. You know, stay in the
Nice,
box.
nice.
Yeah, if
You
it goes
know?
outside the box.
Right, if it goes
it's
outside the
over.
box, it's no good.
it's
So
not
you got to
legible,
be,
it's over.
you know, you got to be a literary major to, you know,
A matter of fact,
to be
some
able to do a
campaigns, you know,
write-in.
it's legal to put a stamp.
yes.
So they buy stamps and hand them out.
That's
so you
actually
can
a really
stamp
That's a
the person.
very
The
good
problem
idea.
with that is, you know, you
That's a
got to
very
make
good
sure you
idea.
get the ballot, because stamps got to fit right in the box.
Expensive. But
And
the
it's expensive. They're $6 a stamp.
The numbers that we're talking about is staggering. This is hysterical. In Peekskill, where there's 25 to 30,000 people that live, Andy Torres got 28 votes on the independence line. So, you know, that's the numbers that we're looking at: 28, 27, 29, and then, you know, the other person, the other
might not
person
take
challenging
so
might
long.
need, you know, 29 votes
Yeah.
to win. You know, so you're talking maybe 50 people the entire day. It's an unbelievable
No, I'm not going
expense
to
for the
say
state.
that you let the dead.
It's a lot of money
I'm
for
not
50
gonna
people
let
to
say
go
that
vote.
you let the dead vote in Peekskill, but aren't there only 20 registered independents in the entire city of
And yet
Peekskill?
28 of them voted for.
No, anyway, but
You
anyway,
know.
No, it's a goofy.
Standard,
it is a
standard
goofy
operating
system.
procedure, no
But anyway,
problem.
And it's a lot of money for
we were-
Vote early
an
and vote
independent
often.
party.
That's right.
now one of
That's
the
right.
things that was an issue in Cortland.
It cost Westchester
was-
County millions of dollars.
One of the issues that was
this Independence Party thing.
one of the things that was an issue in Cortland.
And where's that
was-
money come from?
Taxpayers.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Taxpayers.
One of the issues that
It
was
didn't
in-
cost Westchester County. It cost
The
the
taxpayers.
people of
One
Westchester
of the
County.
issues in the Cortland primary was compensation for elected officials. And it seems that there was a debate about this in Peekskill that made the papers. What happened in Peekskill dealing with compensation? I think it's medical benefits, in fact.
Yeah, we have,
So what
we have a big
happened
issue.
in Peekskill?
Peekskill City Council, like myself and the mayor and people, don't get medical. We don't get health insurance.
because you
in
don't
the
get
city.
sick.
I never get sick.
That's why there's no police department in Cortland.
Carrots.
There's no-
Always eat carrots.
Carrots are your friend.
But that's why there's no police department
But-
in Cortland, because no crime.
And garlic.
There's no crime in Cortland.
Right.
No, there's no. We don't get health benefits. One of the things that flared up was we found out that the Republican nominee. This is kind of fascinating. I don't know if you covered it in some of your newspapers, but Frank Catalina is the guy that's running for mayor. Many years ago, back in the
2001.
back in the 90s, he
90s,
worked for the
right,
city
90s,
of Peekskill. He was a corporation counsel
I think
for
until
like 3 or 4
2001,
years.
right.
And while he was there, he went on the city's health insurance because he was a full-time employee of the city, which makes sense. When he left, he went on Cobra, and then he left entirely. Well,
What's Cobra?
Cobra's
Cobra's
like
the extension.
extension.
Cobra's
Well,
the
I see,
extension.
we got an audience.
Right. Cobra
When you're no
is if
longer
somebody,
working.
if you're in a job and you have health insurance and you leave that job and your health insurance ceases to exist, that you have Cobra, which is a bridge until,
Exactly.
and you're allowed to have Cobra for a year, and then I think you can get a small extension after that.
So flash forward to 2013, we for cost savings, we
I was
got rid
gonna
of
do
the
that.
Human
That was
Resources
very good.
Department.
Very good.
So
Very
we got rid of our Human Resources Department. It got absorbed by the Comptroller's office. Comptroller's office is going through some paperwork, and they noticed payments from Frank Catalina for health insurance. So at some point in 2001, someone put him down as a full-time employee of the city of Peekskill.
And he remained there?
Yeah. Well, he's been getting health insurance benefits since then.
Wow.
So we, we talked to our legal counsel, city's legal counsel, who agreed that he is not a full-time employee of the city of Peekskill, and he hasn't been since the 1990s. And so they discontinued his health insurance, which to me seemed to make sense, but it upset him tremendously. And I think what's going
One
to
would
upset him.
think.
I think part of it is now we had to notify the healthcare provider, which is NYSHIP, New York State
Yeah.
Public Employees. And what's the next step? What do? Do they try to recoup the money that he, used over the years? And
Could this have
is
been an
there-
honest
Is it
mistake?
criminal?
Could
Well,
this
I
have
don't
been-
think I don't think they can. I mean, at first blush, I would think that recouping the money if the premiums were paid, you're extrapolating 2 stages down the road. And basically, if the premiums were paid, they can't recoup the money. If the bone of contention becomes that the premiums were paid, and then you want those premiums back from the person that you felt they didn't deserve them, then that becomes
or
an
the
issue with
healthcare,
respect
or the
to
healthcare benefits he might have used.
In all
Right.
fairness,
Over those years. But now he comes back and he says he deserved it. He says that.
Darren, could
Sorry.
this have been an honest Clara?
We don't
At
know.
first,
That's-
it could have been, but the fact that he kept, I mean, he knew he wasn't an employee of
He knew he
Peekskill.
wasn't an employee.
This is not.
Well, here's the thing. He now says that there's a 1989 resolution that he points to saying that he's allowed to continue with health care. Now, our legal counsel for the city of Peekskill read this and said, no, that there is no such thing as a 25 or 30-year-old resolution that says because you worked for the city for 4 or 5 years, you get lifetime health insurance for the rest of your life.
Why,
I wish that would be
if you
great.
do 2 terms in the Senate, you get it.
And apparently he's the only person in the history of Peekskill to ever have this resolution kick in and cover him.
No, I want to talk
So
about.
it's going to it'll continue to flare up
Now,
because
talking
he's running for mayor of the city,
now-
and a lot of people get upset that they don't have health insurance, that they
Right,
wish they had
yeah.
access to this
No
type of
question.
health insurance. And here's a guy that maybe used connections or some kind of good old boy network to get a decade worth of health insurance that most of us would kill for.
Now, staying with compensation, just 1 second. In a questionnaire in the Yorktown News, they asked you one of the first actions you would take should you be elected to highway superintendent. I'm going to say this again, only you and Steve Gardner, and I can say his name because he's not running against you, were actually specific in what you would do. All the others were platitudes, and I think that hurt them in the primary. Now, what was your answer then, and is it still your answer now?
Oh, absolutely. My answer then was, and I try to somewhat research things, before I speak, and I found the resolutions where, the highway department was, the salary of the superintendent of highways was raised by $21,000. I'm sorry. Salary was 104, raised by 21 to 125.
Why?
And well, it was my interpretation that it was in compensation for the additional responsibilities he was taking on as Director of Labor Operations. And certainly with those additional responsibilities, he was entitled to that
Eric
money.
DiBartolo.
Yes. You know what? And my only question is, and he was entitled to it for as long as he was there, but my interpretation is that anyone new coming into that position certainly should refuse that stipend because
that no longer
that
exists.
position no longer exists.
Now,
And I said in clear conscience, nobody running for this office should take that stipend, and I would refuse it. And as a member of the town board, putting my town board hat on, at budget time, I will. Thank you. That's that. I don't ever wear that hat on the town board. I will fight to see if we can reduce that salary.
and nobody else.
$21,000 of taxpayer money is a lot of money. And yes, I've had financial problems. You know what? Drag me through the mud. I've had financial problems. A lot of people out there have had financial problems. I ran a business. I know what it's like to struggle to make ends meet. You know what? But that being said, I more than anyone, I've never been on the public dime. I more than anyone am a person that understands what our taxpayers are going through and what the value of $21,000 is.
After the show, do you
We're part-time at Peaks. We make $8,000 a year.
And no benefits.
Before taxes.
And no benefits.
And no benefits.
And let me tell you, you think you go through the mud? Peaks or races, they wallow in this shit. Sorry about that. No, but it's true.
But I think
there is nothing boring about a Peaksville election at
they're
any
exciting.
time.
Well, there wasn't anything boring
Your
about
town's
this
not
as far as
boring.
I was
They
concerned.
used to be.
Let me tell
They
you
used to
something.
sign. Oh, come on! They used to sign those no lawn sign bags.
when I-
We're gonna have clean
When I
campus.
was,
covering
let me tell you what my shock was when I'm going through Jefferson Village doing a lit drop and I see these things hanging out of everybody's mailbox. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Then they're leaving them laying at the post office. They're leaving them laying at the A&P. They're leaving them at the diner. It's like, come on.
People should
you know
never
what?
believe anything that's not signed.
Well,
If it's not
Even
signed,
if
it
it's
doesn't say
signed,
who
you
it's
know
from.
what?
If it doesn't,
If
Letters
you
to the
want-
editor don't go in unless they have a name on
Right.
it.
If you want to sign it, you know what? The thing was, I anticipated this. I know there are judgments against me. I know what the situation. I think that makes me a better candidate. I think it makes me more fiscally sensitive. You know what? To say, would you trust this man with a $5 million budget? I just did a $50 million budget for the town of Yorktown and came in with a tax cut and created 2 jobs. Okay, so yeah, I think I can be trusted with a $5 million budget.
The reality, and we got to be closing up now. Darren,
We burned an hour already?
we burned it out.
Oh, thank God.
2 hours special.
Before I close, and I got to go, what happened in New York City? How come there's no runoff?
Wow. Well,
Okay, quickly.
there might be a runoff. They haven't, Bill Thompson hasn't conceded
He hasn't
yet.
conceded. Yeah, he wants everything
Yeah,
to
he's
come
still,
Yeah.
it's really, really close. He's at the 40% mark, so there might still be a runoff. Look, less than 20% of the people that were eligible to vote voted. And considering less than 50% are registered, we're talking less than 10% of the
But those
population
candidates, I
participated.
don't blame them.
Now, on November 10th.
paid me to vote
then
for
You
our-
know what's interesting?
That was a tough cast of characters.
Oh, my
The people
God.
that smelled bad, the Wiener and Vito Lopez and Micah
Spitzer.
Kellner and Spitzer, they all lost. So
Oh, yeah, they did.
even though a lot of people are not participating, the ones that did kind of
Credits
follow
are
it along.
rolling, but I think when we tape in November, Mike Morey's going to be with us. I'll ask him because he's not working right now.
Poor Mike.
I know. He helped Christine. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is what I say. What say you? I hope this is what they say. Darren, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bryan, thank you. Dave, as always. And
Congratulations, Dave.
yes.
Big win.